Today, we are learning about conversion within a system with customary units, which is like the English units that we use here, and then the metric units, which is the ones that they use overseas and with science. Okay, we've got our STAAR reference chart. Okay, so if you need to know what it is, you can just look at your STAAR reference sheet, which can be found on the internet. I should put that on Canvas for you, probably. That's a smart idea. But you can find that stuff there. And you should know these pretty much anyways. It's not really a huge deal. Okay. The one that I mix up the most is the customary volume and capacity ones, just because those are not ones that we typically use all the time. We use the conversions from miles, feet, and inches, and we use the weight pretty often. But the customary ones for volume are a little tricky. So this is how Mr. C remembers. I know that the gallon is the biggest, so I draw a big G. Then inside of it, I put 4 letter Q's for quarts. So there's 4 quarts in 1 gallon. Then inside of the quarts, I put 2 letter P's for pints. I do one upside down just so I have more space. There's 2 green pints inside of a quart. And then it also helps me with like a little shortcut. So if I think, hey, how many pints are in a gallon, I don't have to really do 2 different conversions. I can just say, hey, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 green pints in the giant gallon. So if it says, hey, I have 2 gallons, how many pints is it? I just take 2 times 8 because that's how many pints are in a gallon. Okay. There's 2 cups in each pint. So if I was asked, hey, how many cups are inside of a pint, I'd say there's 2 cups in a pint, but how many cups are in a gallon? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 cups in a gallon. That's how Mr. C remembers. Anytime I have to do this work, I always draw this little chart down because I always forget. And I just remember that there's 8 fluid ounces in it. So essentially, I just remember one of those conversions. It's the bottom one, and then I just draw my picture for the rest. Even as a grown-up, I draw this picture. Okay. You guys have done this stuff before when you were in elementary school, but we want to just go over it again today. All right. Are you ready, Mr. Krause? Here we go. Conversion within system, customary notes. You guys have this, so make sure you're writing along with me. Those of you who are learning online, it's on Canvas. We have 20 feet to inches. So we have to go from feet to inches. So I know that there is 12 inches in 1 foot. So if I have 20 feet, I can set up a proportion, just like I'm used to. Notice both of my feet are up on the top. Then down below, I have my inches. So I have to think, what times 1 will get me to 20? Well, that's going to be a scale factor number that we've been learning about. 1 times 20 gives me 20, so I'll do 12 times 20. And I don't know about you, but I don't know 12 times 20 off the top of my head, so I'm going to have to do it off to the side. 4, 2 times 1 is 2, add it up, we've got 240. So that means that there's 240 inches in 20 feet. Not too bad, right? The next one, we've got 1.5 gallons to quarts. So I know that I'm going from gallons to quarts. This is the one Mr. C always messes up. So if I go back and look at my STAAR chart, I know that there are 4 red quarts inside of that gallon. Remember when I drew that picture? So that means for every 1 gallon, there are 4 quarts. If I have 1.5 gallons, I want to know how many quarts that is. You can see I'm setting up my 2 proportions where I keep my gallons that are related up on the top, and then the quarts will stay on the bottom. I've got to think what times 1 gives me 1.5. That scale factor is going to be 1.5. Then I'm going to take 4 times 1.5 on the bottom as well. You guys, I don't know about you, but I don't know what 4 times 1.5 is off the top of my head, so I've got to write it down on the side. So multiply it out. There's my 2. 4 times 1 is 4. Plus 2 is 6. My answer is not 60. Remember, I've got this 1 digit right here behind the decimal. So I've got to make sure I include a decimal point that has 1 digit behind it. So that 0 is going to be to the right of the decimal. So my answer is really going to be 6 quarts in 1.5 gallons. Right, that's logical, right? Yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay, the next one, we're going from tons to pounds. I love thinking of tons and pounds because it reminds me of elephants. Because elephants are pretty heavy. Every time I do a conversion like this, I'm like, what is this in terms of elephants? That's what I think of tons. But I know it's just silly, but that's just what I think. Some of you might be confused about the LB. The LB is the symbol for pounds. It's Latin for pounds. That's where they got that. Anyways, I know that in 1 ton, there is 2,000 pounds. So if I have 3/4 of a ton, that means I'm going to have less than 2,000 pounds. Okay, because I don't even have 1 ton there. I've got a portion of it. So I know that my scale factor number is going to be 3/4. I multiply it by 3/4. So this one, I'm going to do 2,000 times 3/4 as well. So what's going to happen, I'm going to do it off on the side with this green marker over here. I'm going to do 2,000 over 1 times 3 over 4. I'm going to end up getting 6,000 over 4. So then I've got to just simply divide 6,000, the numerator, by the denominator 4. 4 goes into 6 1 time without going over. Subtract away. Bring down the 2. 4 goes into 25 times. Exactly. Fill up with 0. And we'll just fill in those spots there. 0. So that means that in 3/4 of a ton, that's the same as saying 1,500 pounds. Does that make sense? All right, can you guys try the next couple on your own? And if we turn the page, there's a couple word problems I'd love for you to try. And I'll go over those in a second. So if you're watching at home, push pause on the video, and then we'll come back with the answers. Okay, online learners, check the answer key online to see how you did on the next couple questions. And we're moving on to the metric conversions. Okay, metric conversions. There's another system of measurement that we use. It's called the metric system. And it's used pretty much everywhere in the world except for where we live. So we still have to know how to do it, and this is usually what scientists use. So the conversions for those are on the front page, and it's a lot easier because it works by thousands. So this, in metric, we have 3 units of measure. Liters does volume, grams does mass, and meters does length. So it's nice because it's essentially a base 10 system, and it works really easily when we multiply or divide by 10 500 or 1,000. So if we're going from liters to milliliters, all we have to do is we just have to take 0.45, and then we just multiply it by 1,000 to get out to milliliters. Okay, when we do that, we're essentially moving our decimal place over 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So 0.45 liters is the same as saying 450 milliliters. The way that you would do this with fractions is you would just simply set up liters, milliliters. There's another way to do it too, where you would set up your two proportional fractions, where we would say 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters. If we have 0.45 liters, we would just simply multiply times 0.45 times 1,000, which is essentially what we did up top. Okay, and you'll get the same thing. The next one is 3,000 meters to kilometers. So when we go from meters to kilometers, our units are getting bigger to go to kilometers, so there's going to be less of what we've got. So essentially, we're going to take 3,000 meters, we're going to divide it by 1,000 to go out to kilometers. Okay, that conversion can be found on the page, the reference page. So when we do that, we're essentially just moving our decimal over to the left 3 places, and we're going to have 3 kilometers. The way we would set it up as proportions, we would set up in 1 kilometer rather, we have 1,000 meters. When we have 3,000 meters on the bottom, we would think, how many kilometers do we have? We would take our scale factor number times 3. 1 kilometer times 3 gives me 3 kilometers. Either way, it's going to work out the same. The last is the grams that I'm going to show you. When we go from grams to milligrams, we're essentially going to be multiplying by 1,000. So 3/4 is the same as 0.75 times 1,000. That's the same as moving our decimal over 1, 2, 3 places. We're going to have 750 milligrams in 3/4 of a gram. The way we would set this up with our proportions is we would say, well, there are 1,000 milligrams in 1 gram, and we've got 3/4 of a gram. So our scale factor is multiplied times 3/4. 1,000 times 3/4 is going to give you 700. Okay, it works either way that you like to do it. I prefer the way that I showed you with the decimal, because that's probably how we learned when we were in elementary school. Okay, so take a moment, check online with the answer key for the rest of the answers. And online kids, there is homework. There's 2 pages of it, and it's attached to the packet on campus. Bye. Have a great week.